By now you should have seen the match that BattleBots posted on their channel. There'll be a link below of the matchup between Hypershock and Tombstone for this most recent Face-Offs event. And this was a really highly anticipated match. You got two most destructive winners. It was going to be just this epic match and a rematch of the fight that we had a couple years ago. And that fight a couple years ago, they did come out on top. So we were hoping for some revenge in this, but you just go ahead and watch the match and you'll see how it turns out.
Time for a Tombstone aim.
You're in grave danger.
Let the bot battle begin!
At first, he obviously going to Hypershock. Parts are falling out of the ceiling now.
Trapped in the corner!
Overrides are in play. Hypershock not letting go.
Just keeps launching Tombstone!
We have fire! You want some more?
So what happened in that match? When the match started and Justin turned on the weapon, for whatever reason, it didn't immediately start up. He had to turn the weapon off and then back on again, and then it kicked in and powered up. And against most opponents, that extra few seconds really wouldn't have caused a problem. Against a robot as fast as Hypershock, it was a death sentence. So once they get a hold of you, they're just going to chew on you. They're not going to let you go. And so in this particular case, the problem was some sort of control issue. And the interesting part there, sad but interesting, is we've tested this robot dozens of times. Everything worked perfectly, except for the one time that it counted. So I don't really know what that problem was. I'm suspecting that it might be some measure of just radio noise in the arena. A lot of the light effects and things like that are all basically run on the same frequency that our robots run on. And so if the channel is sort of flooded with noise, the robot is supposed to not do anything. It's not supposed to do anything unless it has a clear signal. And so I'm kind of thinking that maybe it was just electrical noise that caused this issue, and that's why we just had this momentary control delay. So how do I fix that for down the road? I don't know. This was frustrating because this was a match that could have been really epic, and instead it was very sad. So we've got some things there I'm going to need to do differently down the road. And I felt bad for Justin because he didn't do anything wrong, and it still ended up with the robot dying on him. So we've got our work cut out for us to try to fix all of these issues going forward. We'll be ready tomorrow. I don't think I don't think I have any interest in fixing this one. I have enough steel that I could if I have to. So we've got the other robot to run for tomorrow, and as long as it
survives, then we'll run that. That would have been my pick to run for the third match anyway, the way it's laid out. We'll know more after tomorrow's match.
Okay, the few things that went right as opposed to went wrong. The arrangement with doubling up the contactors so that each one sees half the load as it did before worked great. We did not have an issue with the contactors rolled and closed. So this was an improvement that helped out a lot, fixed those issues. So that was a big win. These speed controllers that I was using for drive turned out to work really well. So this is basically the weapon speed controllers that we were using on Mortician. They're just a larger VESC unit, and they worked fantastic for drive. This robot drove really well, so there's some stuff there that turned out pretty good. Most of the electronics, all this stuff, survived intact. Everything here works. So electrically, all of the changes that we made worked out really well. The change in the drive system and moving those forward, the robot drove much better this way. So this was a big win. Sadly, this competition is just, everything is so competitive now that you can do 90% of it right, but if 10% of it's wrong, you end up with the back of your robot cut off. So we got to work it out for us. We're going to have to make some changes going forward. All right, so the battery boxes, these actually worked really well. And it's hard for me to say that after we've had a big old nasty battery fire. But here's the other one that would have been in here right there. And you can see where this one here burnt like crazy, but that all of the weapon batteries, their compartments held in place. Now they did overheat, so we did lose the batteries. But it all basically came down to where that drive pack was when it got cut through the back to hit that drive pack, that it went up. And that's not an electrical issue. In this case, it really wasn't even how the battery was held. It's just once you cut into a robot and you cut the battery, it is going to go up. That's just the nature of it. And the fact that the rest of the batteries didn't all go nuclear as well. I mean, it's hard to say after a fire like that this did good. But the simple truth is these actually did fairly well. So I just need to make sure I have enough weight for the appropriate amount of armor, and we'd have been fine. Next time. So after the Hypershock match and all of the issues and whatnot, there was a lot of parts in here that we needed to pull out. So I needed the weapon motor, I needed some other stuff. And so we disassembled this on site and scavenged a lot of stuff out of it. In fact, I needed one of the drive motors later. So this is how it came home. Obviously, although I think there's things here that could be fixable, this certainly wasn't fixable at the event. So after our first match, we lost a robot. So we're going to have to go through the other two matches with the same frame. And a big thanks to the Hypershock team, because this is the second Tombstone frame that they have destroyed. So, good for them. We're going to get them back eventually. We're going to get them back. So there's kind of a post-fight wrap-up on the damage to poor Tombstone from that particular match. But we've got two more coming through this particular our Face-Offs weekend. So we got to get back in there and get ready for more action. You keep watching, both on our channel and on the BattleBots channel. There's all kinds of new stuff coming up for all of the Face-Off weekends. And there's some interesting fights coming up. You're going to have a really good time. For those of you that like to collect pieces off of the combat robots, we're going to have a few things listed up on eBay, including this wonderful armor panel here. This was the front panel, would have gone right here on Tombstone, and this was signed by both teams, so this is directly straight out of that particular match. And I'll have this and any other items I collect up as items for sale on eBay, and there'll be links in the description.